to the National Assembly for debate and discussion, and also robust public participation and debate. And I don't think there is nothing wrong in saying that, but we must understand that in other jurisdictions, what is happening is that there is payment of, against charge against land where developments have come and they were not there before, because anyway, these developments must be funded by either the land or by a taxpayer. So, and I think that is what was taken to mean that we are charging a charge on freehold, and there is likelihood.
Alice Wahome, you are being too wordy.
Yeah.
You can say what you are saying in very concise terms.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
The Speaker,
I believe I have maybe exhausted.
Hold it as a point of order there.
Yeah.
The Speaker, it is good to have clarity on this matter because that bill was as well a controversial bill. It is very important to have clarity here that the proposal that came from the ministry was that all freehold land be changed to leasehold in the whole republic. It is Parliament, a committee of this Parliament, and that's why Parliament must be given credit to where they do their work. That is suggesting to them that we should maybe do it in cities. But the ministry, what they brought to Parliament was that they want even the ancestral land that somebody is holding a freehold in Migori. They wanted to change it to leasehold. For what? She should tell us why, what was informing that, instead of now hiding under Parliament.
Alice, why?
The provision was saying that the minister will be able to say, to designate the areas, which then means you designate through regulations, and I would still have had to come to Parliament to be allowed the designated areas that we would have picked. So, and therefore, the proposal by Parliament, I commend. I think it helped and it improved the provision.
Thank you, Chair, and I'm sorry I didn't want to interrupt.
You have interrupted, just go on.
Chair, we are in a vetting process, and the leader of majority and the leader of minority have stated the actual position. But the nominee, she's trying to run away from the reality. The reality is that the bill which came to the House exactly wanted to levy even the ancestral land in this country. And it came from the ministry. She was the CS. So instead of using too many words, please admit we move forward. Because at the end of the day, Kenyans could not accept your proposal. And it came from you. It did not come from the House of Parliament. It did not come from Kenyans. It came from your office.
Yes, Alice.
Speaker, I said that the proposal had indicated that the minister will designate areas where the levy will be. It was not blanket, because it is not possible to collect.
Point of order,
it is not possible to collect levy in the entire country.
Mr. Speaker,
yes.
That is true. But why do you want to subject a land that is in Bungoma or Migori for a minister who's sitting in Nairobi to designate whether it will be a freehold or a leasehold? Why do you want to do that? Just say it was wrong to do that, and now you are rectifying it. You are agreeing with Parliament for the issue to become a city's issue. Just and we move on, Madam C. You are a former member of Parliament here.
I think the clarity I have made, I have even given credit to Parliament, but I have said that it is Parliament that was going to give me permission to say where to levy the. Yes.
Point of order, a brief one.
Yes, yes, Naisula.
Thank you, Speaker. And I just want to put it to the nominee, and from what the majority leader had said to another nominee here, that one of the challenges of the cabinet that was there before is communication. Because Kenyans are not understanding what you want to do. When they raise questions, it is said to be propaganda, but now we have confirmed here today that it is actually the truth. And so I think moving forward, if you're confirmed, and the last thing also is when there is public participation and Kenyans have an issue with a clause or with a matter in a bill, it should be discussed thoroughly and given the view of those because the bill could be good, everything else could be good, and we have one contentious issue. Could we exhaust it? Because I can assure you, after what happened in Parliament, these parliamentarians will not be a rubber stamp anymore to any issue that will be contentious, Madam Nominee. So that is all I wanted to do so that we could make progress.
Yeah, thank you. I would hate a parliament that is a rubber stamp. It's of no use to anybody, and even themselves. But, and I agree with you, this bill had not even gone to second reading where the debate was going to happen. And during debate, the proposals for amendments would obviously, by the House, I think the subject was still,
we'll make progress. Alice. What the members are telling you is that a bill came from your ministry with these contentious proposals to the House. When it was picked up and spread like wildfire, the ministry maintained a conspiracy of silence. Instead of coming up to say, it was our bill, we withdraw it so that you quell the fire, you said nothing. But that is, let's move on. Posing?
Thank you, Speaker. I think there is need for better communication. Yes. I agree with you throughout the entire government, including my former ministry.
Yes, even His Excellency the President has said, lamented, that one of the weaknesses in the government is poor communication. You are doing good things which nobody knows. And when you do bad ones, you don't own up.
Speaker, on housing levy.
Okay.
Yes,
Speaker.
We proceed to the housing levy question. I was asked by Honorable Koech how many people or youth we have employed under the affordable housing levy program. I want to confirm that in our records we have about 106,000 youth, both men and women, and I want to add here that most of them are youthful, below 35, and we ensure also that we include women because we have women who have the skills and artisan skills, yes.
Youth has no gender. It's just youth. Men and women.
Sometimes when you say a man, it is said it is also a woman, but until you say it is both male and female, then there is a problem. So thank you, Honorable Speaker, but I would say the youth, it can be youth, women and youth, or youth men. Yes, so we have ensured that gender is also observed in terms of those who are working and benefiting. Is it sustainable? It will be sustainable if we are able to continue with the housing, affordable housing levy. And I'm aware that it is also still in court. Would I say that up to now we have over 100, we have at least 48,000 housing units that are in different stages of construction, between maybe 20% and 95%, some nearing completion. In fact, we expect that we will be launching several of those units this year. And so it is sustainable because this is one of the best projects and programs that the country can allow to continue. Everything else bad said about it, but this one in terms of employment and in terms of self-sustaining, if we can allow the levy to continue, it is sustainable. And I bet that what we are giving, including allowing housing to people who previously cannot access and afford decent homes, then I would think that the country should take it and proceed with it.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. And if you were to be direct to the question and answer, would say we are almost spending 1 hour only for leadership of the House. We have not even had anything ourselves. So, Speaker, what's mine? Mine is this. Nominee, Honorable Alice Wahome. This issue of house levy or house tax, of course, was very controversial, and it is still controversial. However, because it is in place, it is mainly in urban. It's only in urban. And the people who are paying are in the villages. And most of us in Parliament, we represent village constituencies. About 80% of this country is village, or 70%, for that matter. And even if, the government has run to talk about jobs, creation of jobs. My view, Minister, is, if you are confirmed, what will be the housing plan for the rural people who are also paying this tax and paying this levy for people in towns to enjoy houses and to enjoy jobs? Nobody in my constituency or constituency rural who will enjoy those jobs. Nobody will enjoy those housings, right? But we are losing money. So what is it that we are advising even the president or the government in terms of saying, these guys in the rural are paying these taxes or levy, but this is our housing plan for them, so that we can actually move as a country. Thank you, Speaker.
Gikaria.
Thank you, Chair. May I will only ask questions that have been raised by Kenyans. The chairman of the IDP camp in Nakuru called New Kana is asking, after the settlement of the court cases referring to Donga Farm and Kisima Farm, when is the ministry intending to do the titling? Secondly, there is a guy from Joro asking about Ndefo plot in Menengai Slopes and whether there will be titles, whether you will be giving titles to that place called Ndefo plots. Thirdly, is a teacher in my constituency asking about...
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, not to interrupt my colleague, I think those questions can only be answered by the minister when she is in office substantively. Whether she can give me a title or not. She can't give anything now.
Honorable Chair.
I was about to tell
she is jobless.
Honorable Gikaria, you are assessing the suitability or otherwise of Alice Wahome being reappointed Minister for Land. Now you're asking her to issue title.
Sorry, let me rephrase.
Under what authority?
Let me rephrase.
Yes.
Assuming she's appointed to that, assuming she's appointed to that position, Honorable Chair, because these are pertinent issue on
another point of order.
Yes.
I think Honorable Junet's point of order was very legitimate, because the questions Honorable Gikaria is asking, even if the minister is approved, are the questions that we change our standing orders for, to cause the minister to appear before the House to answer such questions. These are not questions for a vetting process.
Alice, answer.
I think in
Gikaria, you have relayed concerns of your constituents.
Thank you very much.
Which are not vetting questions.
Maybe the last one, and that is related to the affordable housing.
Go ahead.
Is related to the program. Is a very good program for purposes of employment. But the contractors who are given that do not come and actualize that by adhering to the labor laws, by paying, say, for city rates or the rates that are there in the labor law. Maybe what action will she take to confirm that this will be done? And
if she's confirmed.
Thank you.
Again, she can't take action unless we say she'll be a minister. Now, but you can answer those...
I think largely in terms of titering, I want to say that we are not on course because we need better funding for titering. The total number of, in terms of percentage, the country has about 30% of our land titled. Meaning,
Alice, who has asked you that?
Because
the questions they asked,
on the titles,
Holding, Posing just asked you about how do rural folks in Kenya benefit from housing levy? Very simple. The second one of Gikaria was, will titles be given to some 2 farms? So it's not titling generally.
let me say that I think you saved me from answering Gikaria's question.
Yes.
And then we leave it at that.
Are you the one I told last time about reading a book of a witness who talked too much?
No, not me.
It was not you.
Not me.
Yes.
And I'm sure.
I think it was Linturi.
Yes. So I will leave that question. On the question of IDPs is gone. Affordable housing in rural areas. This is a new program, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Members. It's a new program. It's just starting, and it has been met by various challenges, including litigation. I believe even the rural folk are entitled to decent housing. I see the program moving there going forward.
Mary Amase.
Thank you, Chairman. I had two questions, but one of them has been, I think, prosecuted well. It was on the proposed levy on land.
Very good.
But I would want to say, Chairman, that there is need to improve the communication in terms of public participation. Probably going forward, we need to change the law so that members are involved in doing public participation with the people we represent, so that we disseminate the information and then bring our feedback. But Chair, I want to ask on collapsed buildings. There are reported incidences of collapsed buildings across the country, which have resulted in injuries and loss of lives and property. Oversight of the construction industry falls under the ambit of the State Department of Public Works. So my question is, what has been done to address these cases and to avoid future incidences? In your view, are these measures sufficient in resolving the issue?
Alice?
It is true the regulatory authority, that is NCA, has the mandate in terms of ensuring that only people who are qualified are contractors. But the problem is not just about contractors. I think the problem is deeper. We have people taking shortcuts, and some people also, we need to work collaboration with the county governments, because some of the buildings coming up do not even have plans, so that even the issue of the National Construction Authority or enforcement should start at a further place at the county level. And I think that we need to do our work better. We need to strengthen the Public Works Department, Honorable Speaker, and ensure that in terms of national work, both the national work and the private work, because most of the buildings that collapse are public. But also Kenyans need to work better and ensure that they do their, buildings using professionals. There is a lot of shortcut in that regard. So that the Kenyans should be also their own watchmen. I mean, the government cannot be everywhere. I think government is doing its best, but Kenyans must also start building with integrity, meaning applying the law and the regulations.
Daud?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to comment on one thing before I ask you a question. From your CV, you have said you're a member of parliament from 2022 to 2027. So does it mean you were not a minister? I know you were elected until 2027, but you had to resign to? No, it's in her CV, that's what I'm saying. So you need to correct your CV.
I will look at that. It was only 20.
Let me ask you my question now. Adjudication mistakes on land are normally sometimes done at the lands office, and it costs people to rectify those mistakes in acreage or size or whatever, about 18,000 shillings to rectify. And not just that, you have to pay, initially you had to pay 150 or 300 or 500. That charge has now gone to 3,000 shillings. And there was no public participation when you increased the charge from 300 to 3,000 shillings. Somebody has got 10 parcels of land under adjudication, has to pay 30,000. That's even before you factor in other costs. That is one question. The second question, what is your take on the Dungu Land Commission lands, which were cancelled, which there is a report regarding the same? The last one is regarding affordable housing. You have talked about it, and my colleagues have talked about it. And there were grand launches by His Excellency the President, who has nominated you to that ministry again. But unfortunately, those housing were just launched and they have not taken off. And like Honorable Aisuda has said, there are 24 billion in that account. So what is that money doing if it is not being used? And those lands are, those housing projects are just stationary. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. If you allow me another one, but I think...
Ferdinand, take two. If actually you are appointed as CS, I want to find out, because going around, you will find yourself, there's a lot of upcoming, like you go to a place like Madare and other places which are congested. There's no plan at all so that you find people living in a very affordable way. What plan do you have to be able to at least streamline some of these upcoming dwelling facilities that actually are causing problems? You'll find that even getting electricity in a place like that is not there. And somebody staying in a place in Madare, and water is actually passing through her house. So what plan would you have for that kind of thing? Secondly, I come from Trans Nzoia. This affordable housing scheme, have you actually ignored Trans Nzoia? Or what is happening when it's supposed to be countrywide projects that's supposed to help people in areas like Trans Nzoia, where people actually also need those affordable housing? Alice?
I have not picked, let me start with the Trans Nzoia. I haven't picked this specifically, but if we have no affordable housing program coming, I think I want to assure you that the first entry to the affordable housing program is the 290 constituencies. Every constituency is supposed to be a beneficiary when we roll out fully of a minimum of 210 housing units. So yes, we will be there. And of course, there with the available land, I won't say when, because it's a program that as soon as possible, maybe we don't even have land in your place, so you needed to work with the ministry to get land for that. And I'm not saying there isn't, because I don't have my document with me. I believe in Trans Nzoia County, we already have some affordable housing programs coming up. We do have. I believe in Trans Nzoia County, we already have some affordable housing. It's okay. We will be there, and I'm sure that it is every other wish of member to work with the ministry to ensure that they are there faster than maybe the event plan. Yeah. Then the slum upgrading. We have a very good slum upgrading program. It's the one working in, for example, in Kibera. We are in Mukuru. We will be going to Mathare. And therefore, what I can say is that the government needs support for the affordable housing program. The houses for the slum upgrading is even cheaper. Those houses are even cheaper than the social housing, and we have a lot of goodwill in terms of funding.
Just yes. Hold there. We are now classified as a middle-income country, right?
Generally.
Kenya. Not generally, we are classified.
Yes.
We are not a HIPIC, highly indebted poor country. We are not. Now, when you talk of slum upgrading, is your policy to eliminate slums or to upgrade slums? How do you upgrade a slum?
That could be the terminology that we are using, but basically, you know, we are providing the necessary infrastructure, water, ensuring that the necessary facilities, including electricity, connectivity, and is available, and roads. And the program is well funded by the UN, the European Union, World Bank, and also AFD. So I think that the question is, why are we talking of slum upgrading instead of slum eradication? Maybe that is something we can think about and change the name.
No, I think if I have understood her well, Speaker, she's saying they want to make slums habitable, that people can still live in slums, but they become a better place where they say...
That cannot be the direction of our country.
It is not. It is not. It is basically, once we work, we eliminate the slum. So possibly we need to change the wording of that program, the title.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's begin by saying maybe that concept of slum upgrading is not our concept. Yes. The financiers, you've talked about them.
Yes.
Those are the people who brought that terminology, because you build for me nice things up country and a slum upgrading, and it's a misnomer. Two questions. The first one is on housing levy. We are interested in this because we are told we have actually collected lots of money through those levies. And there was a report in the papers that the PS had actually invested the money on treasury bonds. That sounded a little bit odd, but you may need to confirm whether indeed we do have that surplus, and that is the route we are taking, while at the same time, His Excellency the President has taken another route of saying, instead of just affordable housing for people to buy, we will now put up hostels in institutions, which I think is a very good program that would go side by side with the affordable housing. On land, again, if you are confirmed, we have experienced the president going around the country and interacting with the people. They come up to him to say, we do not have title deeds and we need those title deeds. And he makes generous promises that in 2-3 months, I'll be back here to give you the titles that you need. As the person responsible for policy, are there policies in place where you can actually carry out those premises without having to embarrass the head of state, so that those down there do not say he gave false promises, etc., etc. You're able to carry out to the letter when the promise is made, it's actually executed.
Alice, Dawood is protesting that you didn't answer his question. Yes. And then Dungu report, go ahead.
I asked about the adjudication, about the Dungu report and the affordable housing, where nothing is going on, and you've got 24 billion in the account, putting in treasury bills or bonds.
Yes, Minister.
I could start by looking at the Dungu report. Is a very good document report, and I know that several of the properties that are within and picked by the Dungu report will clearly indicate the kind of cartel that I was talking about. I know I was asked to define what is a cartel. I think, in short, a cartel is a thief. It's a thief for land. The Dungu report is a lot of, I don't have the figures, but some of the land recovered has been recovered through the EACC, because we have institutions, some we have had to go to court through EACC, and it is work in progress. The report is still live. That's what I would say. affordable housing. Everybody wants affordable housing, but there is also recognition that there has been a lot of disruption on this particular program, both by cases and therefore implementation. And that's why we had some money not able to implement immediately, because when you have also cases going on, you need first to understand where you are. And it is not that there is surplus. We have also already procured for all that money you are talking about. What happened, Honorable Speaker, is that the last financial year, 2023-2024, we had a balance that was not utilized because payments had not been done to the tune of about 38 billion shillings. And it would be reckless to hold money into a general account without investing it, even if it's short term. So it's not that it's being invested because there is no work. We have 106,000 housing units. Right now, we are releasing the newly procured ones, over 55,000, and therefore, I want to confirm that that money is already taken up, plus, of course, unexpected, maybe annual income through the levy of about 63 billion shillings if the Kenya revenue does its work properly. And I think that is the amount we expect per year, about 63 to 65 billion shillings. So the 38 is part of the budget that we presented and will all be spent in this year. So Dawu, I want to encourage you. I believe that I'm here to seek support also for my suitability, and when that happens, then if that happens, I think on my part I should say if that happens, then we should be looking at. Meru is a beneficiary of some of our affordable housing. We've come there with the president, so maybe we have not reached your constituency.
No, Speaker, they have launched with His Excellency, put the stone.
Your question
but
is that we have not
moved
started.
Even one way, and they've got the money in the account while she was the minister. That's why I'm not saying if she's confirmed. While she was the minister, it has not moved.
Sometimes, Honorable Speaker, I appreciate the concern of the Honorable Member. Sometimes lack of takeoff is because of various things. Maybe documentation, perfection is not complete, logistical issues. Sometimes even when we do proper investigation, you find that the contractor who had said that they are able to take off sometimes get a bit of delay. And we are supporting even local contractors. So I don't think it's a case where we are that so strict. We are working with our local contractors, and sometimes logistical issues. And thank you, Honorable Junet, for once. I know it is a very important key issue in terms of implementation.
Yes, Owen.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I want just to ask one question, one very important question. Cabinet nominee, land in this country is one of the reasons why we had the 2010 Constitution. It's one of the key aspects. And it actually gave birth to Article 67, which formed the National Lands Commission, where people from regions that for a long time had had issues on land, especially historical land injustices, that gave birth to Ndungu Report, Jonjo Report, and many other reports, pushed and voted. My people woke up very early in the morning to go and vote for the new constitution, not because of any other thing, but because of land, especially the coast. Today in Parliament, over 80% of the petitions we receive are actually on issues related to land and security. Now, looking at it, it becomes, therefore, it requires leadership, strong leadership to actually finish these issues of land. But the National Lands Commission, I don't want to belabor the issue of National Lands Commission because you've answered many questions, is one of the key planks in resolving the issues of land. People knew there was a ministry, but then they set up the National Lands Commission so that they can solve the problems. So the minister and National Lands Commission must work together to ensure that eventually people get justice in terms of historical land injustice and review of grants. Nominee, I am reliably informed that since you became CS, you have never had a meeting with the board, the National Lands Commission. You know, a formal meeting to actually sit and discuss issues and give leadership in the sector. And I think this is bringing issues as we move forward. But, Honorable Speaker, what I would like to say this. We have moved amendments to amend the National Lands Commission Act so that we can extend their mandate in the review of grants and hearing historical land injustice. But the biggest impediment has been the ministry, including a letter that we received from you dated 24th April. Which is signed by you, that you know there are certain issues. When the committee called you for the meeting to discuss these amendments, the committee said that the minister did not make an input. But when we passed the law in Parliament, when it was going now, we are supposed to send it first, and we respected your letter, and actually these are my amendments, and we held back. But the vibes I get, if I can use that word, the vibes I get is that probably the minister does not want the National Lands Commission to exist. She wants absolute power to run whatever she wants, the show in the land sector. And they're
making a speech. Can I ask a question?
So my question is, do you still believe that we should not review the law, especially section 14 and 15 of the National Lands Commission, to give them power to review grants and to hear historical injustice? I mean, do you still believe we should not review that and deny the National Lands Commission the power, or you have changed your mind about it?
In those many words, he's asking, are you hostile to the National Land Commission? And have you ever met them since you became minister?
Maybe I will repeat
first
that I don't know where your information is coming from, Honorable Member, but I said that I enjoy cordial relationship with Otachi Garrison, the chairman, and his commission. That is one. We have not had any conflict, either by exchange of letter or by verbal exchange. So the source you have could be a very biased or an incorrect source. I am working with them. Remember, they are also an independent commission, and their mandate, they must also not encroach on the mandate of the executive, because their mandate is very clear in the Constitution, and I have no personal interest or ministerial interest or executive interest to encroach on their mandate. But they must also remember there is also the clear mandate they have, and we have. I have met them, Honorable Chair, in various meetings, formal meetings. I have met the board, and when the chair also confirmed that the board is coming, some of the members did not come, and I don't want to go into that, because the commission, I think you need to summon the commission yourself as Parliament. The commission has its own challenges. I think it's right now maybe a bit.
You say you have no problem with them, then continue to list their problems.
Not myself, person, their own challenges, not between me and them, Honorable Chair.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. Maybe the reason they are not working is the challenge between, but not between me. They have handed over during a formal meeting the national land policy, because as their mandate, they recommend to the ministry the national land policy. We have had a whole morning meeting, the entire board led by their chairman. So, and the chairman also paid a courtesy call. We have had other mini meetings for various things with the chair and any other commission that has an issue to deal with at the ministry level. So, I'm okay.
Speaker.
We have had other mini meetings.
Microphone.
Amendment of section 14
I think my take would be the take of everybody else. I mean, I work for the country. If those provisions, that particular maybe amendment you are talking about, if it is subjected to public participation and debate and other stakeholders and it goes through, then I wouldn't be the one who would hold it. But I don't want to sit here and say that it's okay, because it may not be okay for many other stakeholders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Alice Wahome, this Ministry of Lands has been cited as corrupt from time immemorial, and the issue of even when you watch news, many times you find people have been kicked out of their houses because of the issue of fake titles, which you've addressed very well, I must say, because you've said you have a way of dealing with the fraudsters. Even if they have to go to court, let them go to court. But my question is, what action do you propose to take if you are approved on the staff of the ministry that are clearly, in many instances, involved in the same fraud? Because you've given us a direction on what you do with the fraudsters outside, but what about the staff? Because those ones are your staff. And secondly, when Kenya Kwanza came into office, there was the promise that the issue of evictions and demolitions of people's homes would be a thing of the past. You saw over 10,000 people kicked out of their homes in Mavoko, and that still continues to happen. In fact, recently, I think some people are kicked out of some estates within the city of Nairobi, and compensation given was definitely not enough, and part of it never even got to the registered owners. How do you, has the policy changed? And if so, how do you, what do you want to tell those Kenyans that have such issues and are concerned?
Let's take, we're going this way? No, we're coming that way. Amisi?
Speaker, for starting where I am. Speaker, I've been quietly listening to these proceedings. I may not be a happy person because I expected, we vetted the nominee before us 2 years or so ago, and she has served in various portfolios. I expected a progress report, sort of success stories from where we posted her. But I can just see a lot of verbosity on this and this land issue. This land issue, Speaker, it affects even the public offices. If you look at the audit report of parastatus and the government agencies, 90% of the audit is just on land, either ownership, one entity taking another one to court, one parastato, and it consumes a humongous amount of money between legal fees and accounting fees and surveying fees. So it is an area that you do not just talk about it in the passing. So I wanted to hear from the nominee. Yes, she has served there. She's going there back. I don't have your progress report so far. But the issue of parastatals and the government.
You say she's going back before we decide?
Yes, if she's approved. The issue of parastatals and the government agencies taking each other to court on land issues. Is there a policy statement that you can solve it once and for all so that we save this country a lot of money that is being used between lawyers and the legal firms in all the parastatals, virtually all of them, and the perennial historical land injustices? I come from Kitale, and I think you've been there. You've tried to come across the land issue of the Kitale prisons, and it is across the country. We are perennially in constant problems with our constituents and grabbers and landowners and the government entities perennially. Can it stop once for all? Can we have a progress report from your ministry going forward? Problems with our constituents and
answer the question by Robert and Amisi.
From Robert, what am I doing with my staff? What have I done with the staff that I have said that sometimes they are part and parcel of the cartels? Since I got into the ministry, we have had 4 arrested officers and charged in court. There is another 3 under disciplinary processes. And therefore, I think to that extent, and have had a meeting with all the registrars in the country to restate the policy and the position of the minister and government in terms of this business of participating in fraud. And they know, and we have many other cases with the DCI, and I think there will be likely other officers that will be taken away by those cases. I think I could say to that, and I have also said that I intend to come back to Parliament to sharpen the provisions that will help to deal with the fraudsters. Then you asked, I think the question on kicked out, I don't understand that. Demolitions of people who, Madare and elsewhere during the rain season. I think half of those people had already suffered a big blow for being within the riparian and the watercourse area. And even those who were affected because of building along the river were also calling for government intervention to be provided for with homes. We have, I think the estimated numbers, if I'm not wrong, and those would be mainly with the Kindiki, because of interior coordination, was about maybe 20. The rough estimate that came to the cabinet was about 20,000 Kenyans that were affected by the demolitions. I think demolitions are right now not going on, but it was so that they are removed from already insecure space along the river, where in any event they were being devastated by the floods, because we experienced out of the normal, maybe beyond the normal of the floods or rainfall. Therefore, I think going forward as a government, we need better maybe, these are emergencies and you require maybe money to be able to settle those kind of people. So I think everything adds up with, do we have funding to be able to resettle them? They were given 10,000 and some, I'm told some, I think there is information that some may not have received, which is still not sufficient, but it was a gesture for people who also, Kenyans must stop also building along the rivers. I don't know, I know and I understand and I believe that these Kenyans don't have maybe better places, but remember some of the people utilizing, some of those people are not the owners of the structures. The structures could be owned by people living elsewhere. I mean, on government parastatal, I think land moving from one maybe person to another, parastatal fighting each other and cases in court. I have already proposed to the executive that we circulate, before I left office, that I think in June I proposed that all the departments, all the ministries forward to the ministry the list of their properties so that we can now start cracking holistically so that we have a one government approach in terms of recovery. I was given approval to circulate that request to call for departments to forward all land that is said and known to have been grabbed. We will be working on that. Of course, I will require police, I will require the investigative agencies, and I will require the EACC. And I think then it is, whether I'm the minister or not, Kenyans should be prepared to move from government-owned properties because it is public wealth, it is public property, and it is horrible where, as the situation where we are. And I agree with you, we should give it a one holistic approach so that we clear with it once and for all.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Waziri, I just want to ask you one question regarding the pending bills, because I understand there are many pending bills in your ministry. I need to know how you are going to sort it out, considering the current financial state at the moment. The other question is about compensation. There are many Kenyans who have given their RAD to the government, and they've been waiting for their money, and it's like it's taking too long. Thank you. question is about compensation.
Ms. Mbogo.
Asante sana mwenyekiti. Nitauliza maswala mawili, swala la kwanza kwa lugha ya Kiswahili na swala la pili kwa lugha ya Kiingereza. Swala langu la kwanza, Mheshimiwa Wahome, ambaye umekuwa waziri katika hii wizara kwa muda mfupi, ningependa kujua mikakati ambayo utaweka katika wizara yako na kupitia serikali kuu ya Kenya Kwanza ya kuhakikisha ya kwamba Wakenya wengi ambao wamejenga kwa miaka nenda miaka rudi katika zile ardhi ambazo zilikuwa zinaitwa GL ama government land, na zile ardhi ambazo kuna absentee landlord, yani wale wamiliki hawajulikani na hawako, na pia wale ambao wamejenga katika ardhi za wale wamiliki ambao walipatiwa ile tunaita grants ama zabuni, rubuni, na watu kama hao hawajafika katika sehemu hizo na wala hawajulikani, kwa sababu kihistoria wakati wa nyuma kulikuwa na siasa zile ambazo mtawala akiingia anaweza kupatia marafiki grant ya mashamba katika sehemu tofauti tofauti, na jambo hili limefanyika sana katika sehemu ya Bonde la Ufa na sehemu ya Pwani. So ni mikakati gani ambayo serikali kupitia wizara yako itafanya ndio tatizo hili la mashamba liwe historia, isiwe kila wakati wa siasa, wakati wa kampeni Wakenya bado wanauliza maswali yale kwa yale? Na niweze pia kuweza kukubaliana na Mheshimiwa Owen wakati aliposema ya kwamba kuna tashwishi ya kwamba huenda pengine wewe, na hiyo ni hisia yangu, ukirudi katika wizara hino utaweza kuendelea kuhujumu tume ya ardhi, kwa sababu wakati mmoja ulikataa kuongeza muda wa kushughulikia mambo ya historia za mashamba, na tatizo hili ni tatizo nyeti katika Bonde la Ufa, katika Pwani na Kenya kwa jumla. Kwa hivyo hivi sasa umesema ya kwamba mambo yatakuwa tofauti, tunataka tuone ya kuwa tofauti, kwa sababu tatizo hili bado liko, hatujaona ya kwamba kama tumefaidika katika mambo ya dhulma za kihistoria za mashamba. Swali langu la Kiingereza, what specific timeline?
The Kiswahili version was just a speech. Now ask the question.
Mwenyekiti, hilo ni swali na nafikiri Mheshimiwa Wahome ameelewa hilo swali nilivyoliuliza. My second question, Honorable Chairman, what specific timeline did you establish when you were the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Land for the completion of digitization of land records across all the counties? How many counties right now they have those digitized land records? What is your roadmap? Many times we have been putting some allocation in terms of this program of digitization of land records. So what are you telling? What is the status right now? We want to hear, because we know this is the only way where we can avoid some cartels, we can avoid some corruption and so many other anomalies. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Thank you. Shuria, we can take Shuria as well.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. I think you're teaching us something new of saying no chairs. And Mheshimiwa Wahome, significant parts of the country are formerly trust lands and fall under the Community Lands Act. It's public knowledge that the community land legal regime remains not fully operationalized, and if granted, significant parts has not been regime not fully operationalized. If confirmed, what possible solutions do you propose? I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Can you answer those, Alice?
Chair, from Honorable Shurie, trust lands, it is true, most of this is what we call as community land. We have the Community Land Act 2016, and the Community Land Act is operational. We are registering community lands everywhere in the country, but it is a slow process because the communities, the members of those communities must sit and agree, prepare inventory, and it's not an easy process because also we have seen that leadership sometimes within the communities is infiltrated by politics, but the preparation of the inventories is quite a tedious task because every member is a supposed to sign, agree and sign, and then have that inventory forwarded by the office of the governor under the law, so that then you can start the process of registering. But we are on course in terms of various counties, and I believe we need the support, in fact, of elected leadership to expedite those processes as a government. Then Mheshimiwa Mishi is asking, I believe what she's asking me is a policy issue, and in terms of absentee landlord and people who have moved and become squatters on people's lands. We are in the process, Mr. Speaker, of finalizing the national land policy. It is a matter that should squarely be captured there, so that as a country we agree what to do. But also, we must not encourage, there is a lot of criminality in some of the people in terms of moving to people's land and becoming professional squatters. Those must be discouraged, but there are also genuine squatters that the country and the government need to work with and work on, that require sometimes the government to raise budget to purchase those parcels where the squatters are, and then do a land settlement in terms of the squatters. So the program in terms of land settlement is ongoing, is a program of the government. We need more funding for that. The government needs more funding to deal with that, Honorable Mishi. But I agree with you, there is a lot of this problem in terms of absentee landlord. Let's have policy, and the policy will be brought to Parliament, and input of Parliament would be very critical in terms of handling those. Then I think extension. Honorable Bayer, you accuse me of maybe being the person rejecting. I hope, Honorable Member, you haven't been given the wrong card in respect of my activities in terms. This particular, the Commission has not come to me officially or formally to say they want to extend. And in any case, the term of the Commission in terms of historical land injustices was limited by the statute, not by the minister. Opening that would require an amendment, but also we must, and I, as a minister who has served, we must caution the country that we cannot have historical injustices for land perpetually. We need to be very careful, and also if we open, we must limit that to a certain period, because we are talking about historical, not current. Any other current injustices can be done within our courts of law. We talk about historical, and that's why there was a time limit. Because we are talking about historical. Sorry, Honorable Speaker, I think there was a question on the digitization. And that's why there was a time limit. Sorry, Honorable Speaker, I think there was a question on the digitization. And that's why there was a time limit. Sorry, Honorable Speaker, I think there was a question on the digitization. Where we are, I had said earlier.
And the many questions honorable colleagues have. The first question which I want to pose to you is this thing called Ardi Sasa. The major problem And that is why Kenyans are angry. It's because a simple transfer of land or property from one individual to other take maybe 1 year or 2 years. If really we have a platform, if really it is digitized, why would it take inordinately such a long time if what you are explaining to the committee is seamless? Secondly, I think the issue of corruption in land, it is not just simply said. I think it's profound. Examples are everywhere. In the county of Marsabit, we largely live on community land or trust land. But what is surprising, there are individuals who hold titles in areas that have not been adjudicated. And when they go to the ground, they are told, show us the extent of this land, and they cannot. So what is simply happening is those individuals who are involved in titling are the ones who actually are illegally issuing illegal title deeds. Going forward, if the House is going to approve your nomination, what is it that you are going to do differently? Because, Honorable Speaker, I have to make this point. From what Honorable Alice has given the committee this afternoon, I think that committee may be running into headwinds with you, simply because you need to carry leaders along. Because land is not just anything. Land is about community, it is about people, it is about settlement. So people must really be carried along. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I want to ask the nominee. She has a broad ministry moving from land, public works, housing, and urban development. And as a nominee, you must have a vision. And I want to ask the first question is that, what is your vision to sustain urban development in the 47 counties? And how do you plan to address the challenge of rapid urbanization in terms of planning, in terms of giving blueprints of how the water supply will be done, roads construction will be done, the issue of electrifying those urban areas, and the issue which is very fundamental of sewerage in most of upcoming towns within Kenya. Secondly, the State Department of Planning Public Works launched the National Building Code 2024 on 17th of July 2024. The code is expected to update the standards and the requirement in the construction industry and aims to resolve the various issues affecting the Kenya building economy environment. If approved, how would you support the execution of this code? Various associations, including the Association of Construction Managers of Kenya and Interior Designers Association of Kenya, have raised concern concern on being unrecognized by the code. What is your opinion and what is the remedy of this? In prayer on my first question, when you get to that ministry, are you able to give...
When or if?
If you get to that ministry, are you and do you have the capacity to give a vision of how do we want our towns and our urban areas be planned so that we can have proper coordinated construction, which includes the housing program you are also in charge. The last one, the assistant chiefs.
Mule, one question at a time.
Okay, can I finish with this? Can I finish with this?
You've hit
With
two already.
This is the last one. As the Minister for Housing, and you are in charge of this ministry, and to implement the housing program, what do you visualize on how the common man at the village, the assistant chief, the chief who is paying the housing levy to benefit from the housing program in this country?
That question has been asked 4 times. Yes. Yes, but I think it is important to Mule.
Maybe I can start with it and say that I had said that I see this program of affordable housing is a new one.
Stages and is spreading.
And I see it going forward. I see it going to the rural areas as well. But for now, we are within urban centers. For obvious reasons, infrastructure, facilities.
The next question.
Yeah. Mukami had asked me about pending bills, Honorable Speaker. The pending bills, we have about 18 billion legacy or pending bills. Some of them from cases that are filed against the ministry. And these are being considered as part of the national pending bills from other ministries where a decision must be made so that we agree as a country how we deal with all the pending bills, including verification processes. That is a process being undertaken with the leadership of the National Treasury and the executive. So we will have decisions made together. Compensation, I don't understand which compensation, because compensation in terms of compulsory acquisition is done by the National Land Commission, and basically that is not within my mandate. Any other compensation, maybe by judgments, those are pending cases or pending bills. I believe I could start with the question of Adisasa had been answered, but I am saying that this really, I'm thinking that we should get accommodation, because it's now real time possible to access your records and get information regarding your land records, especially when somebody else other than you want to access your records. You are the one to approve. I think the challenge for me is how to move faster to the other, maybe not now for me, for the ministry. For me, if I'm approved, but for the ministry, the challenge is how to expedite. And I had said that with the necessary funding, it is possible to expedite. There is an issue you raised regarding titles in Marsabit or even elsewhere. Let me also warn the members, just alert the members and the public that it is not all titles that are out there that are actually valid titles or are titles. They could just be papers with no worth of a title deed. There are many, some are just made at Liver Road. Like some of the cases the Honorable Majority Leader was raising, title papers. When you look at them, they look like they are genuine, but they are made from River Road, and they cannot transfer proprietary rights to any property. So I don't know what you are referring to in Marsabit. I think it would be important for me to have the records so that I'll be able to know what you are dealing with or referring to, or the ministry to be able to be brought to their attention so that they can maybe stop whatever could be happening. And I agree, it is profound, and the land issue is obviously very emotive. So therefore, community land, be part of the community land processes so that you can help to expedite the community to have their land put in a title because it's private land. Community land is considered as private land for that community. The rights are the same, so they would need to come back together quickly so that there is no land left without title. I think security would be secured by that. Individuals involving in titling from my ministry, I had agreed, and I also said we have a few we are processing in court. My vision is the vision of the ministry. The minister doesn't have a vision personally, but the ministry has a vision in terms of urban development. And in terms of urban development, we have the Urban Areas and Cities Act. And that is specifically addressing the problem of rapid growth of population vis-a-vis the facilities available in our small towns. And that's why the KUSIP, that is Kenya Informal Settlement Program and Kenya Support Program for the urban areas has been developed, which of course is basically focusing on the facilities we have in all the towns, small and big, so that the planning becomes a condition, proper planning, PDP preparations, and all those physical planning for the land use and for the development use are part of the conditions for accessing the funding under those programs. So in my view, if you ask me what is the vision, those programs are for between, they are 5 years program, but looking forward, we need very elaborate cooperation between the county governments because, you know, they are the ones in charge of the planning at the county level, including survey work, so that then it is possible to have properly planned towns now before they become fully congested. My ministry, with the leadership of the Directorate of Physical Planning, former ministry, I beg your pardon, Mr. Speaker, has sufficient capacity to be able, and of course we can always increase capacity as a government, to be able to guide the county governments, and they always draw back for purposes of planning, and they seek support from us. And of course, we have the Physical Planning Act that requires also to be maybe reviewed to capture some of the issues that you are raising. So my vision is to see well-planned towns that have all necessary facilities of a big town, but even better planned than our big towns like Nairobi. You cannot say that it is properly planned, but we can now have better planned towns. As they grow bigger, then they have the street lighting, water, sanitation, and every other, and of course, including titling.
Thank you, Alice. Yeah. Alice, let me ask you one or two questions. Under Schedule 4 of the Constitution, distribution of functions between the national government and county governments, you have the responsibility for housing policy and the general principles of land planning and the coordination of planning by the counties. For the period you have been minister in this docket, have you ever had a meeting with county governments to discuss the issue and coordination of planning by those counties? I ask this because if you look around the country, we have completely misstepped, so to speak, in our planning and land use activities. Anybody with the land touching on any road just wakes up and builds a shop. In the old days, if you look at all the urban areas and markets, they were designated, meaning it is possible to easily provide security and amenities such as water and everything else. What have you done, and if you are confirmed, what do you plan to do to effect this constitutional responsibility?
Honorable Chair, it is not the easiest to actually work with county governments, you know, and for government, national government has been having its own challenges in terms of intergovernmental relationships. On my part, I haven't had a meeting with the county governments as a whole, but we have worked with different county governments or governors in terms of their planning. And they have brought their planning documentation to the ministry, and for sometimes for even for support in terms of that planning, and ensuring that it meets the thresholds that are required. I think going forward, I would say that it is necessary that I meet the county government in terms of the institution itself, the COG, so that we can agree. But they also think that the national government is encroaching a lot on their mandate, and they refer a lot to Schedule 4. And I do agree that quality standards, regulation, and of course capacity building is some of the things we are doing under the Kenya Urban Support Program. Within that, my ministry before me has held several meetings with the county, with the COG, and the CEO of COG has been a constant, and I think she's done a good job for the county governments. Yeah, has worked well with my ministry.
Some Kenyans sending messages to us.
Yes.
Why did she take sides with the Kirima's land dispute when she came into office?
I didn't with the Kirima land. I took side with the owner of the land. It could have been any other person. And when I pronounce myself as to ownership, sometimes it helps in terms of dispute resolution, and that is what it is. My task is to say who is the owner, and I said that it's a long dispute, and at that time there was no outstanding court case.
Another Kenyan says the nominee has declined to answer a question from Dawood on how fees was increased from 300 to 3,000 without public participation. Another one says, implementation, this is actually a member of parliament called Anton Watch, that you've ignored the implementation of decisions of the House of Parliament on matters that have been brought to your attention following decisions in the House. Another person called MacDonald Walbengo says, why has the ministry not processed titles to public institutions and schools? Because my grandfather donated land to a school, and to date we are unable to get our own title and give the school the title on the land we donated. That's a very good Kenyan. Other Kenyans would go to grab the land back. Another one says, who are these cartels with government documents that the minister is talking about? Another one says, rich people are buying land from less fortunate people, transferring the land and refusing to pay. What is the minister doing about that? Those are comments from Kenyans.
I think for schools, it's an important, very important question.
Is the one of the schools.
Yes, we have titled over 14,000, going to 15,000 title deeds for schools.
Actually, Alice know of a school.
Yes.
That was given land by a generous person, and his grandchildren over 50 years later came because the school had no title, took away the land, and kicked out the school.
Yeah, I think previously the institutions did not just schools, actually most government institutions, and maybe that is one of the tasks that we should achieve, do not have titles for those properties. And the titles are supposed to be produced and held.
If you are confirmed, can you have a Marshall Plan to issue title deeds to all public institutions within a year?
Okay, those without issues, it is possible.
Yes,
as you emphasize on that public institutions, I want to add, including KICC. Yeah, thank you, Speaker. You know what I mean? Yeah. Including KICC.
Honorable Speaker, I
know that. Go on.
Sorry.
You know that and go on.
As she knows. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, let me clarify on schools. We have over close to 15,000 schools that we have under our program. There is a program for titling of school titles, and we have covered close to 15,000. The total is about 31,000. So I think we are on course. Possibly we need to expedite in terms of that. A few have disputes about 1,500, but the balance we are working on, a balance of another maybe 14,000. Ruoch says I have ignored the House of Parliament. I am not aware of any area that I have ignored. Maybe it has not been brought to my attention. And should I be approved, I would want to engage him personally or get him to. Yeah, I know him. I don't know what he's referring to. The fees that the member of the public, and it's important, is there was elaborate public participation. The fees of 300 shillings, 500 were fees that were for 1980. Prescribed, when the act was actually, basically it's over 20, 30 years. And so we reached a point where we reviewed, and there was elaborate, and there is records of public participation. And I would also seek that Kenyans agree to support, because it's their government. Yeah.
Alice, you are so wordy. If there was public participation, just say so.
Kenyans out there have said I haven't answered.
Yes.
Yeah, so I want them to understand, yeah.
Lastly, Alice, do you hold any position in a political party?
Not at all. Yeah.
Not at all. Have you ever been adversely mentioned in any integrity-related report or investigations by any agency?
Not at all.
Not at all. Do you hold citizenship of any other country apart from Kenya?
No, only Kenya. And I have no interest.
What is your net worth?
That one I need to be. My net worth is where is that document? It's about 300. Net worth is about 300.
You don't know your wealth of head?
No, not of. It's mine and my husband. So maybe what? It's 300 and. What? It's mine and my husband. So 327,650,000.
How much were you worth when we last vetted you?
I was worth slightly less. When you vetted me, Mr. Speaker, last time, I was worth 218,400,000.
You have had some nominal growth.
Kidogo.
You've grown by 100 million.
I have grown in those 2 years. Yes. Yes. I was just a few adjustments. It is the properties that have increased in terms of appreciation in value, and then there was one tenant that was not paying my family rent, and they paid about 14 million, about sometimes in March. So
do you use your office to get them to pay?
My office of MP, of minister?
Yes.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I am not the one who corrects the rent.
Thank you, Alice.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
We have checked your documents and we find them to be correct, except you can tell us there were 9 memoranda against in response to you. Did you respond to them in writing? The clerk.
And I would ask that the committee adopts my response.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Unless you are lawfully held.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You are released to go.
I'm free to go.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's a relief, Honorable Speaker.
It's a relief?
It's a relief. You know, I am jobless and I need the job. This is since 1985. This is one unique time when I am jobless. So, and I do appreciate the opportunity to be before the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alice.
Thank you.
Members? Members?
Okay. No, I think it's not only government support. There was also a question of the NNPC shareholding. Yes, NNPC shareholding is true. I was asked the last time by the media, and I said that yes, NNPC, paid, $1 billion, which is about equivalent of 7.2% as a deposit, and then we have an agreement to give them 1 year, which we gave them additional 1 year that expired on 30th of June. On the 4th of June, I asked the group CEO, and he said that no, he has discussed they want to remain at 7%, so they won't be able to pay. So, I mean, that was on the 4th of June, and they gave us notice that time, but we have not even received anything from them in writing yet. And in government support, like what Kule said, it's not that we asked for any support and the government didn't give us. We intentionally did not ask because right from the beginning there was a doubt as to whether we'll be able to even build the refinery, because Mittal Group, the South Koreans, all of them that came and signed MOU with the government of Obasanjo at that time, they were given oil blocks to encourage them to come and build a refinery, because we are desperately looking for refinery. I think Professor Ehumberi has the entire history because he was working with President Obasanjo at that time. So we did not really get, in fact, it was a big fight for us to even secure our own license out of the 60 licenses that were issued. So that's one. Number two, I will also add on what Kule talked about in terms of monopoly. So if you are saying that yes, how can Dangote alone supply the market? Okay, are you saying that the $4 billion that NNPC spent now on the activation of their own refineries, Kaduna, Wari, and Port Harcourt, is that money down the drain? Are the refineries not going to work? They have announced a date. So if they are there, we cannot be a monopoly because we are not the only ones. Actually, they are more powerful than us. So there's no way we can actually even be a monopoly. It's not done. So people should also understand one thing. And let me once and for all, Your Excellency, clear one point, which I think people don't really understand, because anytime they talk about this project, when you look at this kind of projects that we have gone, it's not this one alone. We had, in the last 7 years, we went through 31 projects, 31. And it's only 3 that we have here. Out of the 31, let me talk specifically on the refinery. On the refinery, majority of the money was our money that we brought in. Majority of the money was our income. We did not go for project financing because project financing, I know very well, these guys would have asked for my great-grandmother's certificate of birth, which I don't have. So that's why I decided that we will not go. So what we did, it actually put us under a tremendous pressure because when the Naira also collapsed from 156 to where we are, 1,500, 1,600, our payments still remain the same. And, you know, there are other interested parties because people don't know what we went through. Even during COVID, our own international bankers did not agree to give us any waiver or delayed payments. Even with COVID of 2 years that people were not working, we had to continue making those payments. So that's why at that time when former governor Central said that, no, we have already paid 70%. The 70% we have paid is because we have been paying this one. We went through hell. And when I say that we went through hell, I meant hell. When we got the delay by Governor Amusu of Ogun State, 3.5 years, our money, the money we took from the banks was 2.5 billion. It was in Guaranteed Trust Bank in a non-bearing interest account, which was escrow account. But on the other side, we were busy paying interest. When we moved here, 1.5 years, we had problem with the land. So even that one too, so we had a total delay of almost 4 or 5 years from 2013 September. We did not actually move here and started work till sometime in 2017, almost 4.5 years. And 4.5 years on that money, we suffered a loss of over $600 million because we didn't return the money to the banks. If we had returned the money, then it means that no deal. And we had already paid financial advisors and everybody. So we had to just keep praying that, look, something will come out. And that is now we got a license, we got this. The banks were very, very trustworthy. When they even gave us the loan, we had no land. Well, we had a land, we thought we had a land, and then, but no license to build a refinery. We got the license much later with the help of President Jonathan when the system tried to refuse to give us a license. On the loan that we got, part of the loan was taken also by Dangote Industries, which is a local company. Dangote Industries, got allocation from Central Bank, and the total allocation that we got, including the money that we lost in terms of interest, in terms of principal repayment, was about $2.7 billion in 13 years, from 2013 to 2023. The money that we got, I repeat, from Central Bank was 2.7. Out of the 2.7, we still have more than $200 million of forward, which we have not collected. So it was 2.5. Am I right, Kule? Yeah, a real cash we got in these 13 years, which was paid in terms of interest and principal payment. Dangote Industries, as soon as they get their dividend, they are bringing that money back to sell in the local market. They are bringing that money back into Nigeria. So there is no money that, will take from Nigeria. And the one that we've taken to pay part of our loans and interest, we'll return it back. So it's better for people to understand, because the thinking of people is that, no, majority of the central bank's money was depleted by Dangote's major projects. No, we got 2.5 cash from central bank in period of 10.5 years. And that money is also going to come back as soon as we start, making, because, once we start making money, we'll start paying the loans that we have, which is internal loans. So that one is not there. I've seen also in the quality that they are talking about. Yes, when we started with about 600-700 ppm, which is true. that is where we started, because, it was a new plant. We have not commissioned most of them. So by the time that we finish now, we have commissioned part of it. So I'm actually surprised for somebody to come and mention that, yes, we have a bad quality, we and the other modular refineries. I can't talk about the quality of the modular refineries, but our own today, like what I said, our own production, you have seen, we have tested it, is 87 ppm. And by the time you come, even on Monday, we'll be at 50. By beginning of August, end of this month, beginning of August, we'll be at 10 ppm. Okay? Our flash point, you've seen the tests that we have run, and Your Excellency, Sir, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Honorable Speaker, the leadership of the House, I want you to even, at any time, set up a committee that they will come with every representatives headed by your chosen honorable member to come and lead in taking samples from filling stations. Because I must tell you today that all the test certificates that people are busy, floating around, where are the labs? Even if they have the labs, I can tell you they are fake certificates. The real one that you now know that they are right is to take from the filling station and also to come and take also from our production line. Now you will be able to tell Nigerians that this is it. But the demarketing of a company by a regulator that he's supposed to protect, is very, very unfortunate. It's good that we didn't even know that you are going to ask us to stop by the road and pick up diesel. And we didn't know what you wanted to do. And when we got here, I said, okay, fine, let them go and take sample. And the chairman downstream of the House and the chairman midstream of the House went with our people to pick up a hot sample. They brought, you've tested, and you've seen where we are. So we want to clear that, yes, we produce the best diesel in Nigeria. And if the regulator wants, he can come 24 hours anytime. He has people here. Let him conduct this. And I would like to also the media to show our lab, and I want them to also show the lab of the regulator himself. He should show us which lab is he using. Yes, because as a regulator, he's supposed to have a lab. If a regulator doesn't have a lab, then we have an issue. He cannot rely on somebody. He's supposed to, check us. So that's one. Another complaint that I had, which I think the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker also raised with me, say, okay, why did we drop the price of diesel when we started? We drop it from, is it the bad quality we are producing or what? I said that no. Even at the 650 ppm and 700 ppm that we are producing was a better quality than what was, imported. And I'm sure, Your Excellency, sir, most of you have problems with your vehicles. Either you have had or you are still having problems with your vehicles. It's because of the bad fuel that we're importing into the country. I still stand by what I said. Go to filling stations, you can pick up and you can check the quality. That's the only way. But all this one, somebody will bring in a ship and say that, yes, this is the quality. Bring in fake certificates. This one, when we go ahead, we will say more. We'll say more in the sense that, we know where they blend this in. Some of the terminals, some of the NNPC people, and some, traders have opened a blending plant somewhere off Malta. We all know these areas. We know what they are doing. It's not that we don't know. And really, like what I said, I've been fighting all my life. Somebody now said, okay, Mr. Dangote, I heard that, some people came to your hotel to ask of your name, and you don't know who they are. I say, yes, they did. But look, I am a very, very fearless person. I believe so much in God, and I don't fear anybody. They can do whatever that they want, and I am not scared. I will fight head on. It's not a question of this, so they can do whatever that they like. I thought building a refinery like this is, supposed to be a pride for everybody, because we are not the only country. Angola, they've been trying for 20 years. They are still trying. Uganda, they've been trying for the last 15 years. None of them. There is no production capacity in Africa. Only 2 countries are not importing, which is, Algeria and Libya. Apart from this, everybody is an importer. We cannot continue to be slaves while we export, raw material, then we import products. But you can see a regulator is giving an excuse to continue to issue license for bad products just because he said that no, they don't want to create a monopoly. So how can we create a monopoly? Why didn't he call NMPC as a monopoly? Because today, NMPC, they are what? They are the sole importers of PMS. But then if they are the sole importers of PMS, then we want to know whether there is a hole in the government's pocket or not. They should come and tell people, okay, fine, have they paid for all the PMS? If they have paid, okay, fine, what is the account? But, to now call us a monopoly, I think it's very, very unfair. We came here to save the nation and somebody is calling us monopoly. But that's why yesterday a media guy asked me, so you guys, you have done very well, but when are you going to start your steel that you announced? I say, yes, we're supposed to also start steel, maybe hopefully by next year, 5 million tons, but at this rate, we don't want to go and start, because once we start, it is another name they will give us as monopoly. We don't want to do that. Thank you, sir. Yes, one question you asked me, sorry, just last one. Yes, the 1,700 is true. When we started, we dropped it down to 1,200 because people were profiteering. It was very high. In fact, when we went there, that's why even now with the exchange rate at 1,600, diesel is still less than 1,200. So it means that we're justified. We didn't do that out of just to make people bankrupt. No, I've seen the letter written by Duffman. It's not true. We sold at the right price. And if it's not the right price, why are they still selling at 1,150? Because we brought them to a level whereby it is profitable, and they are making money even at that. Thank you. Sorry, yeah, we can, okay, yes, it's true. We are selling in dollar, but also to help bring down their price. We had to sell also in Naira. But NMPC and the other people that sell to us, they are only collecting dollar. So I cannot pay dollar and now sell in Naira because I will be exposed. So it now depends on government policy. Whatever government that wants us to do, I think our interest is Nigeria first, then Dangote. Because if Nigeria doesn't grow, then we have limited capacity of growth. Thank you. Now depends on government policy. Whatever government that wants us to do, I think our interest is Nigeria first, then
Organizers of the planned hardship nationwide protest to shelve their plans. Well, the National Assembly also today speedily passed a new minimum wage. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimalo here in Abuja. Well, today we have some very critical business for us to tackle. On one hand, is Dangote the controversy over the Dangote refinery and production and the back and forth between Dangote refinery, the NMPCL, and the federal government. The controversy over the Dangote refinery and production. Well, we are also going to be looking at issues relating to the minimum wage that has been speedily passed. And of course, we'll also touch on some of the issues relating to the planned national the nationwide hardship protest. What are the issues? What are the legal issues? The federal government is talking on one hand. The Nigerian police force is talking on one hand. We've heard the minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike. It will interest you to know what he said today. I'll be bringing you all of the perspectives tonight on the program. So sit tight, everyone, and let's first and foremost let you know that there's some alteration and some adjustment done to the budget. But in the National Assembly, one major story that stood out was seems to be some applied force and pressure to speedily pass the national minimum wage. So today, the Senate and the House of Representatives passed the National Minimum Wage Act 2019 Amendment Bill. The bill, which scaled second and third readings at both legislative chambers in the National Assembly just minutes after it was transmitted by President Bola Tinubu, was instantly passed separately by the red and the green chambers. In a unanimous vote after a close consideration in the Committee of the Whole, the National Minimum Wage Bill scaled third reading and was passed at the Senate. The House also passed the bill immediately, just like the Senate did. President Bola Tinubu is expected to sign the bill into law. The National Minimum Wage Bill scaled third reading and was passed at the Senate. The House also passed the bill immediately. All right, then, we will be bringing you insight, deep ones, legal analysis on the major topic of tonight. My guest is one person that you love to listen to. You will love to hear his perspective. But first, before I bring him on and for you to get to meet him, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The Senate President Gospel Akpabio has apologized to Senator Natasha Akpoti over the statement he made, which has generated a lot of criticisms. Senator Akpabio last week interrupted and stopped Senator Akpoti while she wanted to speak on the floor during plenary. The Senate President told the Kogi senator to wait for a turn, and the Senate is not a club, a statement which has been described as one uttered in disrespect to the female lawmaker. The National Assembly has passed the Police Act Amendment Bill to enable persons appointed to the Office of Inspector General of Police to remain in office until the end of the term stipulated in the letter of appointment. President Bola Tinubu forwarded the bill to the House of Representatives and Senate on Tuesday to amend the tenure of the IGP. The bill expeditiously scaled second and third readings and was passed by lawmakers in both the Senate and the House of Representatives at separate sittings. Meanwhile, the federal lawmaker representing Imo East Senatorial District, Senator Ezenwa Onyewuchi, has defected from the Labour Party to the All Progressives Congress, APC. Majority Leader of the Senate, Okweyemi Bamidele, announced Senator Onyewuchi's defection to a plenary today. Similarly, a member of the House of Representatives, Salman Idris, has also defected from the African Democratic Congress, ADC, to the APC. The lawmaker, who represents Kaba Bonu Ijumu Federal Constituency in the Green Chamber, officially announced his political decision in a letter read on the floor of the House by the Speaker, Abbas Tajidin. A call to repeal the laws governing State Independent Electoral Commission resonates as Yaga Africa engages stakeholders on how to enhance the integrity of local government elections. The Election Transparency Advocacy Group believes strongly that there is an urgent need to strengthen local government electoral system, as against a call from some quarters to scrap the existing State Independent Electoral Commissions. The candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the 2024 Edo governorship election, Asue Godalo, has asked the electorate not to indulge in vote selling and vote buying, as he insists that the outcome of the polls solely rests in the hands of the electorate. Mr. Godalo gave the advice during a town hall meeting in Benin City, the Edo State capital, as he warned that the enticement received from politicians in exchange of vote could lead to a 4-year of misery. Lastly, the governorship and deputy governorship candidates of the Zenith Labour Party for the September 21 governorship election in Edo State, Bishop Akalame and Joyce Udubo, of the belief that putting money ahead of other key decisions will do nothing to help produce leaders capable of bringing development. The duo, who spoke to electorates and party members during the flag of their campaign in Benin City, the Edo State capital, advised would-be voters to maintain the consciousness that knowledge drives the modern-day economy and vote along that line.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us right here on the program. So the planned nationwide hardship protest is getting the Nigerian government worried, especially because of a possible fallout of that planned demonstration. But the President, Bola Tinubu, has appealed to all Nigerians to shelve the planned end bad governance protest slated for next month. The Information Minister, Mohamed Idris Malagi, will brief the selected State House correspondent after a meeting with the President earlier today, says that the President is urging the protest organizers to shelve the plan and await the President's response to the complaints. Take a listen to him.
The issue of the planned protest, Mr. President does not see any need for that. He's asked them to shelve that plan. He's asked them to await government's response to all their pleas. He has listened to them, like I said, and a lot is happening. Only today, the National Assembly has expeditiously passed the new national minimum wage. You can see how the President is working. It was transmitted only yesterday. Today, it has been passed. A lot of other interventions that the President has also put in place are also going to be looked at expeditiously in the interest of Nigeria. So there's no need for strike. The young people out there should listen to the President and allow the President more time to see to the realization of all the goodies he has for them.
Well, the early bird doesn't just catch the worm. Red Bull gives you wings.
Rubbing, makeup stays on? Forget the wipes and choose Garnier #1 micellar cleansing water. Our micelles work like a magnet to remove makeup for zero residue. Skin is perfectly clean and visibly soothed. Garnier micellar cleansing water. Choose nothing but the #1 by Garnier, naturally.
All right, then, there you have it. The minister, after meeting with the President seems to be worried about what could be a possible fallout. Look, the President is saying, we are going to be listening and doing what Nigerians want, but in fact, is the protest giving the government some kind of pressure? This end bad governance, that is what the protest is being tagged, a period of rage on the street by some Nigerians who are saying that they need to protest what has become a major hardship issues in the land, whether or not the government is listening. Yesterday, the Nigerian Labour Congress warned and said the President and the federal government must listen to Nigerians. Of course, a lot of things are happening too. My guest tonight will also be giving us insight into what is going on in respect of the Dangote refinery. I don't know how many of you had read what Mr. Adeshina of the African Bank has said, written. That will give you an insight into the implication between what is happening with the private entity, the NNPCL, and the federal government. A lot has happened. My guest tonight will be giving us insight into all of these issues. I'm being joined tonight on the program by a very well-respected Nigerian lawyer, right activist, senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, joins us live from Lagos. Thank you so much, Mr. Falana, for joining us tonight on the program.
Thank you, Sean. You are welcome back from your leave.
Thank you so much indeed. I appreciate it. Let's get first and foremost, before I get into other issues, this planned end bad governance protest has been planned by some citizens. It does look, from what the minister said, you heard him, he's asking, speaking for the president, he's saying, look, the people of Nigeria should shelve these planned protests and actions are being taken. He also made a promise that we're going to be hearing from the president. Is that kind of narrative, that kind of rhetoric, is that what you think should be coming out right now?
Well, for me, I think the government is lucky this time. In 2020, there wasn't a notice given by young people before embarking on the NSAS protest. I've followed the debate and the concern of the government, or the worry of the government. The government has not denied the right of Nigerians to protest for or against the government, because that is a constitutional right. But what I think the government is worried about is the possibility that violence might occur. Again, from my experience, in protests. I mean, I've taken part in protests for over 40 years in the country. young people or workers have never gone out determined to engage in violence all the time. Violence had always occurred going back to the 70s when students are shot, unarmed students are shot. The last time, people are now destroying our history, distorting our history by saying, oh, in 2020, young people were violent. No. The young people took part in the protest, in the NSAS protest, gathered in different places. In a place like Lagos, they gathered in Alausa at the Secretariat. They also gathered at Lekki. And they were singing and discussing among themselves. People were giving them food. What happened was that the attack on the youth started in Alausa here when a notorious transporter in Lagos, a notorious union leader, sent his thugs to attack the unarmed youths in Alausa. They overpowered the thugs, but the police did not arrest or charge them. The same thing happened in Abuja, in Benin, in Port Harcourt and other places. And of course, until the government decided to unleash people you call hoodlums and thugs on the young people. When that did not work, the government sent troops, armed soldiers, to engage in killing of young people. In 1 week, about 99 people were killed in Lagos. I don't want to talk about Ogbomoso, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, and Benin, and other places where young people were shot at, where young people were killed. So the violence that characterized the end of the NSAS protest was instigated and fueled and sponsored by the government. This time around, I think the government is beginning to learn from the past. I mean, last year, the Nigerian Labour Congress wanted to have a protest in solidarity with ASU during the strike. Oh, he said, no, you cannot go on strike. Hoodlums might take over. And I drew the attention of the government to the relevant provision of the Police Establishment Act of 2020, Section 83, subsection 4, that during protest, the police shall provide adequate security for the protesters. That is the law. So what should be done, or what is expected, if there's going to be a protest and there's an announcement, is to ask the protesters, where do you want to gather, so that the police can surround the place and ensure that hoodlums, so-called, or thugs, normally employed by politicians, deployed by politicians during elections, will not take advantage of genuine protests in the country. And I think that is what the government should do now. So identify the organizers and collaborate with them to ensure that violence will not occur.
So let me get you to reason with some of the issues that have been raised. And those who will say one of the strengths of the NSAS protests, on one hand, was that there were no leaders, there were no persons who are in the front. There were just people who, according to the organizers, organically were leading the protests, who identify as possible on-the-spot leaders. There were no organized leaders. Although there are some people who are doing the strategy in the corner, and there are those who will say, in fact, that was the major problem of the NSAS protest, because it didn't have an organized leadership, and then when things went south, there was nobody to be able to hold accountable, and there were no leadership to be able to put it together. And these are some of the issues that have been raised, that if you allow the kind of violence, for example, that we saw in the 2020 NSAS protest and the aftermath of what we saw in Kenya, yes, the people of that country spoke loudly, but it has left businesses in Kenya burnt, destroyed, and brought down. How can we avoid this sort of situation, Mr. Falano?
Yeah, number one, what they call it, young people call it leaderless revolution. And I mean, we know those who, the government, officials of the government, know that their children participated in the protests of 2020. I know my own children participated in the protests of 2020. And when you ask the young people, why don't you have leaders that the government can talk to? Say, no, this is a sudden protest. We are compelled to have this protest. Once they know our leaders, the government can easily call them and bribe them or intimidate them and stop the protest. So, but they had a way of contacting themselves. And I think that is the lesson the government can draw some lesson from that experience. How do you identify those who are using statements, those who are planning the protest, and then engage with them productively? But threats will not work. In fact, on some occasions, the desperation of government also has a way of popularizing such protest. And when you are also getting some leaders of some phony organizations coming out, oh, we are dissociating ourselves from them. You didn't plan the protest with them. That will not work for the government. Or some last year, the Wahome came out to say, no, the Igbo people should not join the protest. Led by the Igbo man anyway. Joe Ajero. Oh, the Yoruba people came out, a faction of, oh, please, Nose Yoruba son should come out and join the protest. That will not work. Nobody listened to such, warnings. So this time around, the government should try to identify the leaders of the movement and then engage, have some dialogue with them. And then the questions being raised, there are demands that are being made. The government should address this demand. And between now and the 1st of August, it's still a long way. And it's happily, I understand the government is going to address the nation. And it is also important for governors to really come out and let the people know what they are doing to address hardship in the country, which nobody is denying. Suffering in the country, which nobody is denying. And then you see our governors say, oh, we're not going to be able to pay a minimum wage of 70,000 naira. That is not the kind of language that you expect leaders, the type of statement that leaders should make at this point in time.
So, Mr. Falano,
I think a lot depends on the government.
Let me ask, is it fair, though, to want to stage a revolution protest against a government that has spent just about a year in office?
Sheung, when you talk of revolution, right? You don't go to the market to announce a revolution. There are objective factors in the country for a revolution. But whether this, the agents of revolution are around the corner is a different matter. And that word is used loosely in the country. Sometimes officials of the government use the word. I mean, I remember when Shiwore was being tried for treasonable felony for attempting to stage a revolution protest, and the SSS official that came to give evidence, I had to ask him, are you aware, you recall that President Buhari commended the Egyptian revolution in 2011 and said such a revolution to take place in Nigeria? He said he was aware, So when people talk of a revolution protest or whatever, demonstration, it does not mean that we're going to break the roof of our house. It's a question of, it's a challenge to the government that reforms are no longer working. You need radical measures to address poverty in the country, to put an end to importation of fuel, right? To control your currency and not float it, to address youth unemployment, to address the security in the country. For me, I think this is a message that the government will have to take very seriously.
I was going to ask you, Mr. Falana, if
debates in the country.
If you look at what is happening, the government is making allegations that some of these plans are politically motivated, and that's one issue there. Are you worried if there's any lesson to be taken from?
I think the government, I think the government of Nigeria is lucky. In Accra, Ghana here, all the anti-government protests are organized and staged by the opposition party, the NCC. Whenever the NDC is in power, is the NPP that organizes protest. In Ghana, in South Africa, even in Kenya before the youth protest, is the opposition political parties that organize protests in this country. So we only expect Labour, the Labour movement, to stage protest. But in some other countries, political parties do not talk only of election. They also challenge the government in power. So protests of this nature, of course, are political because the program of the government are also political. Political parties do not operating a neo-colonial peripheral capitalist system. It's a choice of the government. It's political. And so victims of human rights abuse in the country may also decide tomorrow, we want to end oppression in our country, brutality. Whereas the laws are taking care of that. So the duty of the government is to look at the laws, the welfare laws in the country. How can we fund welfare in our country to ensure that we do not have young people or political parties asking people to go to the street and embarrass the government?
In the Fourth Republic, the 2012 Occupy Nigeria protest, in which you were a very prominent figure, one of those who led that protest, was one of the most significant events of the last 17, 20 years in Nigeria's political space, which led to the forcing out of a government of Goodluck Jonathan. It really battered the image of the Goodluck Jonathan government because that was a really major event politically for Nigeria. And I imagine that, Mr. Falana, you might also be joining these End Bad Governance protests. We see you lead from Lagos where you live. But the question is that if from 2012 there have been clamor for the removal of subsidy, and Bola Tinubu comes into office and says, this clamor has been there. His very close allies and friends were also part of that protest. Now, he has come to the office. First thing he did when he got into office was to remove protests. Subsidy on fuel. So the question would be, if this has been the agitation and someone is coming to the office to remove it, why then the agitation against his action and what has become a spiral effect of that decision?
You know, Nigerians are unfair when they talk of only the protests in 2012. In 2010, the same forces still protests in Lagos and Abuja when the cabal in the presidency, when the Buhari cabal, Yaradua cabal said Jonathan will not be president of Nigeria, will not even be acting president. The same forces went on the streets at the risk of their lives to say there is a constitutional provision for the transfer of power in Nigeria. People have forgotten that. Those who later came to become, to accuse those who staged the 2012 protest, never remember that. So the point I'm making therefore is that people have the right, it's a constitutional right, to protest for or against the government. Now, when you talk of those who protested in 2012, not taking part in other protests, too bad. But what is important is that Nigerians are saying, you have removed fuel subsidy. What of the gains, if any? Why are we still importing fuel? And now, what has happened to our refineries? What has happened to the Dangote refinery? So people are bound to ask this question. The duty of the government is to address these problems, these questions, openly and frankly and honestly. and ensure that you convince Nigerians that the government is looking for solutions to this problem. If you talk of removal of fuel subsidy, what have Nigerians benefited? Whatever will have been the gain have been eroded by the floating of the naira. And people are asking questions. Why are you floating the naira? Because it's against Section 16 of the Central Bank Act, which is that the Central Bank of Nigeria shall determine the value of the naira vis-a-vis other currency. But we are now told market forces are determining the value of the currency. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. And so Nigerians are asking these questions. Why are you, a minister has just said that 40% of the loan given to Nigeria by the World Bank is stolen? No. I would like to say no. What they simply do in those agreements to say the machinery you are going to bring to the country for the execution of the projects covered by the loan, the consultants will come from certain countries, the goods will be bought from certain countries. So at the end of the day, what you come to Nigeria will just be about 40%. And out of the 40%, part of it is stolen by some reckless people in government. So our country is acquiring loans without any basis. So we're already sabotaging the future of our young people. So we must now begin to ask questions. Where are you taking this loan? To service a parasitic bureaucracy. So these are the issues the government will have to address.
Mr. Falana, I wanted to play to you. I would like to play to you two sound bites which have come out on these protests, which it looks like the federal government and the security agencies are also monitoring what is going on. But I wanted to know, would you be joining that end bad governance protest, Mr. Falana?
No, it's going to be difficult for me to say that. No, Sheung, I do not know the organizers. And I'm a political person. So if I'm going to take part in a program or an event, I must know what it's about, who are the people behind it, so that I also do not end up,
but Mr. Falana, do you have interest in politics now? Aside from wanting to become governor of Ekiti State years ago, I don't know, you declare that you are a political person. In what sense? Can you clarify, though?
So I'm involved in mobilizing Nigerians, right? To terminate oppression in our country, to terminate exploitation in our country, to control the resources of our country, which are immense. So I am involved in the process to ensure that no Nigerian goes to bed, hungry. No Nigerian will get to the hospital and not be treated with our resources. I'm part of the program very soon to end public officers going abroad for medical treatment. If we stop that, they will fix our hospitals. So that I am a political person, and it's not by joining APC or PDP or APD, that you get involved in politics. I'm also involved in setting up a socialist party in Nigeria.
When will that happen? Is it going to be ahead of 2027?
Of our country by capitalist people.
This political party that you're talking about, Mr. Falana.
To that extent, I'm a very political person.
Yeah, this party you are saying you are joining to form, is it going to be ahead of 2027? And you're going to be seeking some kind of election, isn't it? This political party that
no, come again.
You talked about you joining forces to form a political party. When is this political party coming into fusion? And you're going to be seeking some kind of
a lot of mobilization is going on across the country, and very soon Nigerians will know that we are bringing back politics of ideology in our country, politics of issues, and not politics of religion, ethnicity, and other primordial sentiments. Very soon.
All right. We'll be hoping to see how that happens. Who are your friends that you are in this together? Who are those that are in this? Can we know them? You and who are the others?
Not yet, except to say that we are working with positive change agents across the country. Revolutionary forces.
Is El-Rufai or Peter Obi part of
Nigeria
it?
cannot develop as a nation under a peripheral capitalist ideology.
Is any of these persons I mentioned part of it? Is Peter Obi, Pratutomi, El-Rufai, are they part of these amalgamation, this amalgam of people?
No, again, as I said, I'm not in a position to open up yet, but very soon, Nigerians will know who these forces are. We're also going to fight imperialism. Countries and institutions that are promoting underdevelopment, not just in Nigeria, but in Africa.
Okay.
So it's a big project.
We'll be looking forward to that. That sounds interesting to me. I would like you to talk to me. I mean, I would love to see a departure from the left of the center ideology political party that we've seen in Nigeria. It does look like it's a toss between left and right. We would love to see something totally different, a departure. But before we go on a break, let me show you, Mr. Falana. Yeah, let me show you this. What the IG said earlier today, and he said they will be monitoring. Take a listen to Mr. Kawade Egbetokun, the Inspector General of Police.
It is important I address an issue of urgent national importance which appears to have gained some momentum, particularly on the social media in the past few weeks. Some groups of people, self-appointed crusaders and influencers, have been strategizing and mobilizing potential protesters to unleash terror in the land under the guise of replicating the recent Kenya protest, the Beko. While the force acknowledges the right to peaceful protest as enshrined in our Constitution, we must ensure that these protests do not snowball into violence or disorder.
All right, Mr. Falana, that was earlier today, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kawade Egbetokun. Please, hold that on one hand, on your left. Let me give you yet another soundbite. This one coming from the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, whose concern is the political nature of this planned protest. And I'd like you to respond to it. Take a listen to Mr. Nyesom Wike.
The protest is a political protest. It's those of you who are worried that, yes, everybody's not happy that there's hunger, everybody's not happy that there's unemployment, but this unemployment was not started or was not created by this administration. And the administration is just trying to put things together, which of course will take some time. And you know, I agree with Nigeria, when you're hungry like this, you don't want to, listen to anything again because you're hungry. But understand that somebody's trying to solve that problem of hunger. So let us not listen to political protests, political jobbers who just want to be popular.
Yeah, I'm due to actually take some messages from the commercials. But before then, let me allow you to respond to these two soundbites. On one hand, the IG, and it does look like the security agencies are not taking this lightly. And on the other hand, the FCT minister. How do you react to some of these soundbites and these statements, Mr. Falana?
Sean, I'm going to react to the statement of the Inspector General of Police alone. I mean, only. I'm not going to join issues with Mr. Nyesom Wike, for personal reasons. The IG has spoken very maturely, and according to him, it is the constitutional right of Nigerians to protest. And nobody can take that away from us. But the idea said, if you are going to protest, it must not snowball into violence. Again, this is where a duty has been posed on the police under the Police Establishment Act to find out where protesters would like to go to, and then ensure that adequate security is provided. And I'm also sure that no reasonable Nigerian will want to go out to protest with a view to damaging government property. Again, as I said, the violence that occurred in 2020 And whenever, whether you're talking of Adekunle Ojo protests in the University of Ibadan, Kunle Adekunle in 1971, or Kunle Ojo in the University of Lagos in 1981, or you are talking of Ahmadu Bello University in 1986, when 4 students were killed, and the Vice Chancellor said only 4 students were killed, and that led to a nationwide protest by Nigerian students. So whichever you look, whenever you look at our history, again, even going back to colonial days, Nigerians will want to go to the street with placards, not with guns, to express themselves, only for security forces, right, to rain bullets on them. That's what you call violence. And so we must learn to have peaceful protests in Nigeria. In fact, there was a time, I think it just suggested that in every city in Nigeria, we must have places like Hyde Park in London where you can have a protest. What happened? We used to have the Unity Fountain in Abuja. Then if I any park in Lagos, the government at a stage decided to make it impossible for Nigerians to stage protests in this area. So when they go to the street, problems have arisen, and security people are not there to protect the protesters. What then happens is that so-called hoodlums are unleashed on the protesters. That's why you have violence.
All right, Mr. Falano, let's take a break now. Yeah, let's take a break. But when we come back, I would like to get your views on the Dangote refinery and Dangote oil production controversy. The saga looks that is continuing, and it has a big implication on the economy and on international investment perception of Nigeria on the global stage. I'd like to get your view. Of course, Mr. Dangote has come out to speak on this matter. We've heard Mr. Melekiari of the NNPCL. He has also responded about mortar production. What is really going on in our country in this respect? We'll be back to talk more after this break, everyone. Join us again.
It is new, it is unique and of international standard. Maduka University. Maduka University, a modern university of international standard with modern facilities for learning, committed to training entrepreneurs across different fields of human endeavor, offers admission to students in different courses such as law, accounting, medical lab science,
cyber security, mechatronics,
mass communication, nursing, pharmacy, ICT, computer engineering, civil engineering, JUBE program, and a lot more. Maduka University is located in an environment of serenity, safety, and security at Ekwebe, Nsukka, Enugu State. For more inquiry, visit our website, madukauniversity.edu.ng, or call 0805-509-1802 or 0915-789-3107. Maduka University, the place for the transformation you seek.
Nimejaribu mafuta na sabuni nyingi, hazikusaidia kurelieve eczema, dryness, or my baby's sensitive skin. Tangu nigundue the new Nice and Lovely Baby Naturals wash, ni soothing during bath time na haiwashi macho, ngozi imebadilika kabisa. Thanks to Nice and Lovely Baby Naturals Jelly and Cream. Jionee mwenyewe, the power of 3-in-1 Jelly and Cream moisturizes, protects, and repairs. Chagua Nice and Lovely Baby Naturals, approved by pediatricians and dermatologists.
The Duchess International Hospital caters to every aspect of a family's health needs. A one-stop shop for maternity and child health services, emergency medicine and critical care, medical and surgical subspecialties, dental and eye care, and a range of other subspecialties and services, all available at a single location right here in the heart of Ikeja. And it really doesn't matter if you're paying out of pocket using your HMO or private insurance. We focus completely on providing that world-class affordable healthcare for all the family at all times.
out on election day and vote Olumide Osaigbavo Akpata, Una guy as governor of Edo State. He ready to change our story and bring better life for we and our Pikin them. Vote Labour Party, the party for Papa, Mama and Pikin. Make we vote well, oh. Oludi, confirm. Now you be our guy. Labour Party, forward ever. Olumide Akpata.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Mr. Femi Falana, a very senior lawyer, rights activist, and we're still tonight declared to us that he's a political person, has been talking to us tonight from Lagos. Thank you so much, Mr. Falana, for your time. Let's switch gears now and speak about a major controversy that is concerning the Dangote refinery oil production in Nigeria and the reactions we're getting from the federal government and the NPCL. Just a few days ago, Mr. Aliko Dangote has been reacting to the allegations in some quarters that products, especially of diesel, coming out of the refinery are substandard. They also was speaking to the allegations of being taking monopoly of the industry. And he said that some of his friends warned him about investing in Nigeria are now laughing at him, is now a laughing stock amongst his friends and folks in the business world. Let me allow you to listen again to part of what Mr. Aliko Dangote, a foremost Nigerian industrialist, is saying in the wake of all of this saga.
Another complaint that I had, which I think the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker also raised with me, say, okay, why did we drop the price of diesel when we started? We drop it from, is it the bad quality we are producing or what? I said that no. Even at the 650 ppm and 700 ppm that we are producing was a better quality than what was, imported. And I'm sure, Your Excellency, sir, most of you have problems with their vehicles. Either you have had or you are still having problems with their vehicles. It's because of the bad fuel that we're importing into the country. I still stand by what I said.
All right. That is part of what Mr. Dangote has said. In fact, he somewhat opened some can of worms when he alleged that some officials of the NNPCL are involved in some production backdoor in Malta. Well, we're getting some reaction, of course, from the MD and the group chief executive officer of the NNPCL, Mr. Mele Kyari. Let me give you an understanding of some of what Mr. Mele Kyari has said today in a statement that he pushed out, denying any kind of ownership or partnership in any kind of backdoor production of any product in faraway Malta. Let's get Mr. Falana to react to some of these issues. What do you think is going on really in this whole matter? There are a lot of conversations around why this kind of treatment is being meted on Dangote, the 20% stake of the federal government in that investment. And now the fact that Mr. Dangote is saying that he's willing to sell off that his shares in that investment. What do you make of that?
Well, I've enjoyed the intra-class feud, or what you might call a dog-eat-dog affair. But it's at the expense of the country. And we cannot continue like this. A government cannot go around the world asking for foreign investment only to be accused of destroying local investment. It's very dangerous for the country. It is so embarrassing that we are telling the whole world that the government of Nigeria is so incapable to manage this affair that one person is monopolizing trade in our country. What is the purpose of the government? Is to checkmate any monopolistic control of any business in Nigeria. But what do you call a monopoly? If you have allowed your own refineries to be destroyed, what happens? Somebody now decides to have a refinery That's a monopoly. Why? What? There's nothing you can do about it. I thought what the government should be doing now. I've allocated $1.5 billion for the revitalization of the Port Harcourt refinery and $1.4 billion for the revitalization of the Warri and Kaduna refinery. The government should stop postponing the days of commencement of business in these refineries. The government should be in a hurry to get those refineries to work and compete with the Dangote refinery. How can a government go out and say a factory in my country is producing a bad product, bad fuel? What are you doing as a government about it? Why are you allowing Dangote to saturate the market with bad diesel? Very soon, bad PMS. So the ones you are bringing from foreign countries, the fuel you bring from foreign countries, adulterated fuel, foul fuel, destroying vehicles in our country. The government is helpless. Sometimes the government, we are going to set up a panel to deal with those who are bringing bad fuel to the country. At the end of the day, the government will not do anything. Now, what is this whole debate about? I have been very critical of the equity, the shares allocated to Nigeria in the Dangote refinery in May 2021. The Federal Executive Council directed NNPCL to take a loan of $2.67 billion to acquire 20% shares in the Dangote refinery for Nigeria. I have criticized that figure by saying we must quantify the contribution of the country to the refinery. Only to be told now that our 20% shares have been reduced to 7.2% by the NNPC, albeit illegally, because the NNPCL does not have the power to overrule the decision of the Federal Executive Council under the current political dispensation. So where do we go from here? It is for the government to go back to the drawing table. If there are problems with the Dangote refinery, you must sit down. But if you don't have a laboratory, you can't say that fuel is bad or diesel is bad. You must take it to your laboratory. And where is that laboratory located? We must know it. 2, you must now stop this childish, very puerile argument about, somebody wants a monopoly. It's not the business of the government. And that's why you have the Federal Consumer Protection Commission to deal with anybody who wants to maintain a monopoly in business in the country. Now, the government must go back to the drawing table. If a factory is likely to employ 500,000 people, young people, the government must try and embrace that company and see what can be done. But for me, I'm not interested in the